Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You probably heard in the last couple of days a lot of news or a lot of buzz around this. This is a slider phone from Honor called the Honor Magic 2. This device came out a couple of weeks ago in Beijing and I had the opportunity to be actually at the launch event. So today I'm going to give you guys my review of the Honor Magic 2 and explain to you why this is not the only feature that you should be really looking forward to on the Honor Magic 2. There's so much more. This is TK and this is XDA TV. The Honor Magic 2 does come in three different colors. This one is a gradient where it kind of looks like a blue transitioning over into a gray or a silver tone at the top. I did an unboxing of this and initial impressions about a couple of weeks ago when this device came out. Overall, the box will include a power cable, a power brick, as well as a dongle since we don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack. The phone itself is definitely a very nice reflective material on the back. We have three different sensors in the back. We have a 24 and two 16 megapixel sensors. One of them basically a wide angle lens camera and the other one is standard focal length, as well as obviously the 24, the higher megapixel sensor that we have there. We have dual tone LED flash, AI vision on the back, and Honor, and basically no other branding on the back. We have a volume rocker as well as a power button and one of the antenna bands. On the left side we have a SIM tray that's capable of supporting 2 nano SIMs with 4G LTE connectivity in the supported markets, so keep that in mind. Currently only supporting Chinese markets, so in the US HSPA Plus is about the maximum we're able to get. On the top we have an IR blaster, one of the microphones, and two of the antenna bands, and on the bottom we're greeted with the secondary microphone, a speaker, as well as a USB-C for data and charging. Now this device does not have stereo speakers, it has mono speakers, so this is the only bottom firing sounding speaker that we get. And then this port will be the one where you're routing the audio through using the adapter included in the box. Looking over on the front side, we have a 6.39 1080p OLED panel that's going to be giving us an almost bezel-less experience on this device. Let's unlock it. I want to show you guys some pictures here. You can see pretty much that the pictures go all the way down to the bottom and there's a very minimal chin at the bottom. This is going to give you a great viewing experience for movies, for watching content, of course enjoying your experience on the UI. But the main benefit, of course, is that if you need the front-facing sensors, you just have to slide them down. We have a 16 and two 2-megapixel sensors that are capable of giving us, of course, face unlocking, as well as the ability of giving us just really good front-facing camera pictures. It does have built-in AI, so the AI with the NPU that we have built into the Kirin 980 here will definitely be used to give you guys the best experience. We have an in-display fingerprint sensor, and of course, just overall a really good, solid mechanism. Now, I wanted to mention to you guys, they do include a case in the box, so you won't have to actually kind of go find a custom case for this phone, and this one does work quite well. You insert the phone, and if you notice, for the most part, it covers it everywhere with the exception of the bottom. So I can slide it down, open, close. So again, if you want a case right out of the box, you have one. I'm pretty sure case manufacturers are going to have an interesting time trying to create cases for the Magic 2. Now that fingerprint sensor in the front is pretty similar to the one that we've seen on the Mate 20 Pro. It works pretty much as fast as that. We did receive an update to the Magic UI software that we have here. This is essentially Android 9.0, but the version of the software that we have here has been branded as Magic UI. So what we have is the Honor Magic 2, the TYN-AL00. Again, this is the Chinese variant. Current version of the software is 9.0.0.128 with GPU Turbo enabled, of course. Magic UI version is 2.0 with Android 9.0. The CPU powering this entire thing is the Kirin 980. We have 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of internal storage. As I mentioned, it's a 1080p panel. November 1st security patch update. That's pretty accurate as we are in November, so this is definitely up to date. Aesthetically, this phone looks great, and as you saw, it is very addicting to play with that slider. The other thing I want to mention to you guys is this battery that we have in here is going to be supercharged with the 40-watt charger that's built in the box. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. This not only has a very good battery, it also has a battery that will recharge ridiculously fast, from 0 to about 70% in almost about 30 minutes. So recharging this phone will not be an issue. That power brick is definitely very nice. Being that this is the Chinese variant of the phone, it did not come with Google Play services, so sideloading them was pretty simple, the same way we did it on the Note 10 in the past video. Just basically download them, install them, and you're able to basically access the Google Play services, YouTube, all of the stuff, Snapchat, Twitter, all of that good stuff. The main thing I want to mention to you guys, of course, if you're using this phone in China, some of these services won't work, but once you leave the Great Barrier as far as the firewall over there, you're pretty much set and everything else will work. I did use this in Beijing on Project Fi, and it worked quite well. And for me, overall, the service itself, it's working pretty well in the US. Now I am running on an AT&T and I'm getting 4G, which essentially means HSPA Plus. And for the most part, the usage is going to be very different depending on the strength of the network where you are. But I've been able to actually get almost between 8 to 9, 10 megabits depending on where I am as far as connectivity. Now it does list it as LTE, but it is only showing 4G. So for the most part, you're not going to have bad experience. It just may not be LTE, like, 40, 30 megabits down, but it's still really usable in the US. For reference, this is the second Honor Magic phone that I've had my hands on. I've actually had an experience with the first Honor Magic back at CES in 2016. And that video went really well, and I really enjoyed the form factor of that phone. Now, that one was smaller, the AI was still new, and now we have a much better implementation of the AI. Now, the AI has a couple of ways of interacting with it. You have the ability of setting it up, or you can use the Hi Voice service. It turns on right there. Currently only supporting Chinese, Mandarin Chinese specifically. Sliding the phone down will open up the AI. You can click on it, and it'll open up the main UI here. Again, you can use it to use High Vision. You can actually interact with it. And for the most part, again, if you use native speaker and you're using it in the language that it's currently formatted for, it's going to work great. Where I find it to be really, really useful is inside of the dialer. Surprisingly enough, there is actually a portion of the UI that's built into the dialer. So if we go into the settings, we have a couple of options I want to share with you guys. Now, there's auto call recording, so you can record calls if you'd like. There's voice controls, of course, but also based in Mandarin. But call translation is where that unique feature. I did a separate video for you guys, and I'll link that for you guys in the description, of course, as well as a card, showcasing basically how does this work. And I translated, basically, I had a conversation with a friend of mine in Beijing. You're able to select from multiple languages: English, Arabic, Dutch, French, Italian, Portuguese, of course, Spanish, Russian, Japanese, and Chinese. Currently only supporting Mandarin Chinese, not Cantonese, so just keep that in mind. Still very nice and very useful. The camera itself is very nice. It's a great camera. The triple camera setup in the back as well as the front is powered by AI. So if we switch the sensor from the back to the front, you'll notice it asks us to slide the camera down. That's because the phone requires that to happen. Now, if you open up the phone, there is a way of programming it so that anytime you slide the actual slider down, the front-facing camera opens up. But otherwise, you have AI on the front as well as on the back. The sensors on the back on the front are going to be really good, and you're going to be able to get great pictures of that. This is just a sunset yesterday, and you could see here basically the reflection and the dynamic range and the color, and you can actually even see the reflection of the hill to the left of this. Very, very nice. I'll be sharing that on my Instagram feed soon. Make sure you check out my Instagram and my, of course, my Twitter account to stay up to date with all the sample images, not only from this device, from any device that I'm actually testing out. That's usually where I share all the images that I'd like to get, give you guys a heads up on. But as far as the actual sensor resolution, we're able to go to 4K at 30 frames per second with the back sensor. On the front-facing sensor, we're able to go all the way to 1080p Full HD Plus. That's just to match the 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio. Or you can just basically stick by 16 by 9 aspect ratio on 1080p. Here's a quick sample of the 60 megapixel front-facing sensor on the Honor Magic 2, capable of going all the way up to 1080p. Let's switch over to the back sensor. Now, looking over at the back-facing sensor, we're able to go all the way up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Again, just a quick sample showing you guys the picture as well as the audio from the Honor Magic 2. Of course, I mentioned to you guys when we were talking about the sensors is that we have a wide-angle lens. So we have 1x, 2x zoom, and this is direct optical zoom on the sensor, so we're definitely cropping directly in. And if I click it one more time, it changes to the word wide, and you'll notice right there I'm able to fit so much more of my subject. So you can definitely still take a great picture, but you can definitely fit way more in the actual picture itself. So definitely very, very nice. And of course, on the front-facing camera, you just have to slide it up, and then you're in the image. We have AI, and you're able to take the pictures with and without AI. Gameplay on this phone is not going to be an issue. Currently, the Kirin 980 has not been optimized, or at least the PUBG version of this game has not been optimized to work with the Kirin 980. So here's a quick audio sample of the speaker performance on this device. Now, by no means is this the loudest speaker I've heard on a phone, but definitely good enough for phone calls as well as listening to music from the speaker. Another great feature about the EMUI 9.0 installation that we have here is that the fact that the Magic 2 supports wireless projection. That's the ability of connecting your phone to a Wi-Fi enabled TV on the same network as your phone, and then basically projecting EMUI 9.0 desktop mode, and then using your phone as a mouse. The simple connection is by initiating it from the notification panel, approving the connection on the TV, and for all intents and purposes, you now have basically two displays. The display on your phone, or you can actually use the phone as a mouse to control the TV to be able to even open up, let's say, Chrome and browse the internet. I know you may be asking yourself as TK, how is the quality of the slider? The slider itself, actually, I know I showed it to you guys at the beginning, that I actually slide the phone very quickly. And that's because of practice, for the lack of an explanation. But for the most part, the actual slider itself is very strong. You cannot slide this by shaking the phone. And I know kind of it looks like I'm holding it, but I am not, because I can still slide it. I'm holding it from the bottom bezel, and it's very strong. The placement of the actual finger is a key factor on how to open up the slider and close it. You notice I always push my finger in the middle. I never do it at the bottom or on the top. Of course, I unlock the phone. But the main thing about it is as long as you put your finger down and slide, push down and slide, you're able to do that. And of course, it does have face unlock and fingerprint recognition. It is a very strong mechanism. It's supported by 5 different actual sliding mechanisms. There's 2 here, and then there's an additional one sitting in the back. Don't worry as far as the slider itself. It definitely has a very high rating. You only really need to use it if you want to use the front-facing camera or, in the current state that it's in, initiating yo-yo. Now, this takes me right away to the next level here is the fingerprint sensor. It has improved quite a bit from the initial release that I got with the phone, but for the most part, it's kind of a hit and miss. Like right now, it's working great, and if I lock it and put it back in, you'll notice I get a kind of a false attempt, and I'll try it again, and it'll work. I think this could definitely be fixed with software, as I've seen a massive improvement from the beginning, from the initial release, but it's still something that you have to keep in mind that when you're needed, there's going to be that off-on opportunity, again, that it may not work at initial release or initial contact, and then you have to do it again, or even use your PIN or face unlock to unlock your device. So the lack of a 3.5mm headphone jack is definitely something that you guys have to kind of adjust to. They do include a dongle in the box, but at the end of the day, it's still something that you want to keep in mind, that if you wanted a headphone jack built into it, this is something that you're not going to have. HD streaming as far as Hulu or Netflix in the US, this is not going to be supported. Not that it actually won't work on the services, meaning you can actually use Netflix or Hulu. The only concern though is because this is a Chinese ROM or Chinese built ROM currently, and it's not a global one, it will not support HD content. So you're going to be capped at a lower resolution whenever you're streaming these services on your phone. So after using this device initially in Beijing and now in the US for the last couple of weeks, I think this device has a lot of good things to offer. There are some concerns and compromises, as I shared with you guys. But keep in mind, of course, I mean, even to this day, EMUI 9.0 does not allow us to open up full notifications on the lock screen. You actually have to initiate them and go into the UI and unlock the phone. So again, it's an evolutionary process, and we are getting better. I think the live translation is a great thing. Check out the video for that, as well as the ability of actually projecting EMUI 9.0 desktop mode to a TV wirelessly is also very functional, because in the past we've always had to have a dongle. There was a whole bunch of combination of things. You can actually just use it, have your phone charging, not even have to worry about it. I want to say thank you very much to Honor for allowing us to check out the actual device, as well as taking us over to the event, and that was a really cool trip to check out. Check out our unboxing that we did there. Of course, if you'd like to know everything inside of the device's box that came with it. But other than that, like and subscribe as usual. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about the Honor Magic 2? Are you looking forward to it? And keep in mind, it's very durable and it is very addicting to play with. I can't stop doing that, and I'm going to have to put my hands down now. Like and subscribe as usual to this channel, like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.